Oh man, so COTI have just around 3 weeks before they reach a critical decision point. We're going to look at the charts. We're also going to look at ADA, who are fighting for their life at the $1.06 support line. If they lose this could be a long way down for Cardano. We're going to be looking at both projects. I'm going to be sharing some bullish news for both of those projects, and we're going to look at the chart patterns into terms of what I'm seeing. So make sure you stay tuned till the very end, guys. If you haven't already, check out NordVPN, links in the description. They've been kind enough to offer 70% off of 2-year plans on a VPN. So that works out like $2-3 a month, guys. Get yourself set up on a VPN, coupon code oh man. Now, what we can see here on the ADA chart, guys, let's start with ADA and then we'll move on to COTI. Is you can see we've been in this long-term resistance. Look at this long white line we faced here. You can see ever since we hit our all-time highs, this has just been acting as resistance in a big long downtrend all the way from $3.16 down to our support line. And currently we're trading at $1.04, guys. We're just below this critical support line here on ADA, and the reality is if we lose this support line, guys, there's not much support then until 41 cents or 33 cents, because you remember when we ran up, for those of you who are around in early 2021 last year, once we broke through we consolidated a little bit here between 30 cents and 41 cents, and then it skyrocketed, right? It skyrocketed all the way up here to $1.51, then consolidated again, skyrocketed again, retraced all the way back down. So that was the story of ADA. So on the way down, because this move was so fast to the upside here, there's little in the way of scaffolding or support lines we can bounce off of if we lose $1.06. So this raises the question, what is going on with ADA? Why is it getting smacked? What is the kind of agenda behind this? Because I think there is something a little bit deeper here. We know Cardano is one of the most popular cryptocurrencies. It has been for the longest time. It was the first real competitor to Ethereum in terms of a layer 1 solution. We know there was the bitter rivalry between Charles Hodgkinson, who left Ethereum, and Ethereum maximalists had always, looked down upon Cardano, and probably likewise the Cardano community looking down on Ethereum. Now, given that, there's a lot of negative. You just have to spend some time on social media to see how much negativity there is around Cardano, and people really do hate the project for some reason. It's very polarizing. Even when I post videos here sometimes on Cardano, not that I'm recommending anybody to buy it. I have some in my portfolio as a full disclosure, but it's very polarizing. You get those that love it and swear by it, and then you get those that just hate it. And for whatever reason, they want the world to know that they hate it as well. But fundamentally, let's understand what's going on. Let's look at some facts, because right now you had an argument to say, if we were to look at this peak here, let's talk about this peak versus the reality of where we are now. And so if we look at the first peak, when Cardano was all the way up there at $3.16, the haters had an argument. Let's face it, right? Cardano was super high valued. There was talks of it flipping Ethereum. The market cap was high, but the reality was the white paper was not fulfilled. We didn't have Alonzo. We didn't have smart contracts. We didn't have usage. We didn't have any total value lock. There was no DEX. There was nothing, right? And so you could argue that some of the rhetoric by the haters was actually had some basis at this point, okay, at the top here. Now, it since then bled all the way to the downside. Obviously, you've got the macroeconomic element that, the whole economy and Bitcoin was heading to the downside too. Bitcoin's still quite a lot off of highs, and therefore a lot of altcoins have been punishing too. But Cardano's been on a particular bleed. There's not even been like relief rallies here. These just been bleeding to the downside. Now, if you look at that and compare that to where we're at now, which is all of those things which I argued, we've now got a third of the market cap that you had from up here. In fact, less than that, so okay. But now you've got a working DEX, you've got total value locked, which we're going to come on to, you've got transaction volumes, you've got smart contracts, and you're starting to see good projects being built on the Cardano network. So, if we take a look at DeFi Llama, an interesting stat we have here is that over the last 7 days, Cardano was the fastest growing blockchain by total value locked, 36%. Okay, faster than Elrond, faster than Waves, faster than a lot of others, which we know, Ergo, and Avalanche, Theta. Okay, so this is fast growing, very fast growing. The second position, eGold, was half of the growth rate. Now, yes, granted, we're starting off from a low base here in terms of total value lock. That's very low. That's 100 million. I completely understand, right? It doesn't get serious until Cardano gets into $1 billion. But the roadmap is there, right? They're showing us that they're doing it. It's the doing. And a lot of the rhetoric by the haters was that Cardano weren't doing it. It was all talk. It was a scam, right? Or we don't believe anything Charles Hoskinson says. But the reality is things are happening now. So anybody who had those qualms about, whether it works or is it a good system, you've got 10% now of the total value locked of a serious project. Okay, so if we put this, if we were to rank this by the highest TVL, okay, and obviously we'll have Ethereum at the top at 123 billion. But if you look at the others in the top 10, in order to get to the top 10, you've got Osmosis, which has got there with 1.25 billion. So let's call it a billion, right? So Cardano is now 10, 11% on their way to getting to the top 10. So they wouldn't be that far along their journey if things weren't working, if they hadn't actually built a good layer one solution, if there wasn't, if it wasn't handling the volume, if there weren't good transaction fees, if there weren't good security. It's working, right? And so you can ask yourself, how does that now justify the value here? You can probably argue it probably still doesn't justify some of the value here if you compare to other blockchains, but surely it can't keep going down whilst there's fundamentals going up and to the right. That is where you see the decoupling. That's where it just loses rationale. When if a company, if you take a stock or a company and they're launching good products, right? Like Apple, they're selling more iPhones, more iPads, they're being more creative, they're producing more units per year. How can the stock price just be falling? It doesn't make sense. They keep beating earnings. Eventually, at some point, the stock price will reflect that. And that's what we're seeing here with ADA. It's getting a hit right now, probably due to a lack of positivity in the market, a lack of good, let's call it social sentiment around Cardano. But that will change. I've seen this before with Cardano, when it has its periods where no one cares, suddenly everyone flocks behind it. Period where no one cares, suddenly everyone flocks behind it. And we'll see that again. No doubt, Cardano is going to be a top 10 layer one solutions. I'm completely convinced by that. And it's just a matter of time. So for me, anytime I see this like this here, these are blessings. I mean, if we continued on from where we were and Bitcoin continued and Cardano continued to move, we would have all been buying Cardano at $3, $4, $5, $6, because you don't want to miss this train. But for now, for you to have an opportunity to be buying this at $1.04, this is crazy. This is crazy. You're getting this at pricing from July 2021 and from pricing it touched back in April 2021 and where it was consolidating from Feb all the way to April 2021 in this period. Okay, so you're getting it back in these same boxes again. And normally in crypto, you don't get these second chances, especially on a top project with a top team with good, robust academics and technology. It's a great project, right? Now, I'm not going to go into, is it better than this project? Is it better than that project? The layer one space is hotly contested. And you guys know I love a lot of good layer one solutions and I allocate my portfolio accordingly. And it's a constant challenge to rebalance that. And there's no perfect answer. You just have to keep rebalancing by the momentum that the projects have. As Cardano has good momentum, you need to make sure you're not missing that. As Phantom has good momentum, you need to keep an eye on that. And if anybody makes any mistakes or gets hacked or we see some fundamental issues with their technology, then you need to act accordingly to that as well. So let's take a look at this because this is very interesting as well. And you can see the transaction volumes here, 17 billion. This is Masari, by the way, so not my data. This is from Masari. And you can see Masari are quoting that transaction volume of the last 24 hours, 17.5 billion for Cardano versus 10 billion in Bitcoin and 5.7 billion in Ethereum. So huge transaction volumes. And you can see the fees on the right-hand side here. The fees are far, far less here very far less. We're talking $51,000 in fees to transact 17.5 billion versus Ethereum, which transacted less than a third, but had 20 million in fees. Guys, this is just crazy, right? And we know this. And Cardano is not the only blockchain that has managed to solve this. A lot of good blockchains have much more sensible, realistic, usable transaction fees. And this is one of the big pitfalls for Ethereum. Everybody knows it. Ethereum know it. They're trying to fix it. It's just whether they can fix it. Right. Now let's move on to a partner project of Cardano, which is COTI, because we've been monitoring COTI here on this one. We have got about 20 days before COTI has to make a decision on where it wants to go from this pattern. Okay. Are we going to break to the upside? Are we going to get sent to the downside here? We have approximately, if we take our measuring tool, you can see here from, let's just move us across into the middle. So from the candle we're at today, you can see we're about 20 days here before we get to the apex of this. So COTI has to make a decision either way. Which way are we heading? You can see how many times we bounced off the top resistance here. Every time we try to break out, we get sent back down. Break out, get sent back down. We picked up support here. This is also where we bounced back in July 21 at an important level from the bottom of our cup and handle pattern. And now we need to make a decision. And for me, COTI is another example of ADA, because it's funny that they're partner project, obviously, but they're treated in the same way. They've both been on complete bleeds, despite their fundamentals really changing, really developing. And we were at prices here of 66 cents on COTI before they were named as the official algorithmically backed stablecoin provider for the JED token on the ADA ecosystem. Before they'd done all that, before they had some of their partnerships, which is crazy to see that you're getting COTI now at 27 cents, and you even had it as low as 23 cents opportunities to be picking up COTI, when it's doing far more now in this period than it was at the period where people were buying it for 66 cents leading up to the ADA summit. So crazy. I mean, we can look at the update provided by COTI on JED and their timeline update, and they're working on some great things. They're already finalizing the UI and the UX. They're implementing the NAMI wallet. We know that they're starting integration to the JED contract. They spoke about the latest hack on the wormhole bridge, which we covered on this channel, and saying, look, we got to be careful when we do these things, right? Because for those of you who don't know, the wormhole bridge, which is bridging from Ethereum to Solana, got hacked, and that caused massive reverberations in the community for Solana and affected their credibility, right? So COTI doesn't want the same, ADA don't want the same. They need to go and do things from a first principles basis, to do it in the right way, not rush it because social media is asking them to rush it. And you can have a good read of here, but they're really focused on the roadmap, and they're actually making good progress. So it makes you ask, we know their treasuries launch as well. We know people are starting to stake COTI as well. And naturally, that's going to lead to the combination of what I've just shown you today, which is the total value locked growing in ADA, and therefore when people are transacting on ADA, they will be burning JED tokens, which by the way will then be spent to buy back COTI to go into the treasury pot to be rewarded to those who are staking COTI. Okay, very important how this is going to work. That's going to put a supply shock squeeze on the amount of COTI available and will lead to upward pressure in price. So when all the fundamentals and the usage cases of both these projects are looking positive, it's difficult to see any other scenario that once Bitcoin starts to get a move on, once the wider economy starts to get a move on, there's less FUD in the market. I mean, we're at peak FUD right now, guys. For those, you guys know from a macroeconomy perspective, whether it's inflation, whether it's the CPI readings, whether it's interest rates and balance sheet shrinkage, we cover it all on this channel. And then you've got the Russia-Ukraine dynamic as well. There's peak FUD right now, and it's not the perfect environment for risk on appetite right now, which is why we're seeing a lot of false starts here. But you can just imagine, for those of you who were around when Bitcoin ran to 69,000, just imagine in the midst of that euphoria, what will happen with projects like ADA and COTI, who since their last previous high have really gone on to fundamentally develop new things and make progress. More people are using it, more transaction volumes, and there's real use cases. And you guys will know whenever I make investment decisions, I'm doing it based on use cases. Are people using it? Is it making a real difference? If so, the price of the crypto tokens will follow suit. That's all I care about, okay? Because I'm holding for the long term. I'm not bothered in small pumps and dumps. If you've not watched my video explaining this, click here. I'll leave that video up here. Very important that you go watch that. It gives you an insight into my psychology on how I break some of these thoughts down. So there you go, have it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed this blend between technical and fundamental analysis on two of your favorite tokens, COTI and ADA. As always, if you enjoyed the video, smash up the likes and subscribe. Don't forget to check out NordVPN, link in the description. You have to get yourself set up on a VPN, guys, if you're playing around in crypto, if you're staking, you're yield farming, if you're logging into exchanges and your wallets, you got to make sure your IP is masked. You can come across as, you can appear to come from a different country. You can set all those settings within your VPN. So check out the link below. Coupon code OLDMAN will give you 70% off. It works out as a couple of bucks a month for you to get set up on a VPN, like $60 for 2 years. Absolute no-brainer if you've got some serious money in crypto. As always, guys, thanks for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.